Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everybody for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much to everybody who listens in the podcast. Today is Sunday, October the 6th, 2024. I wanted to come here and speak to you guys about this, how a ministry is allowing special needs children to sit in service with their parents, okay? But before I continue, I want to say thank you so much to everybody who listens to the podcast and follows me on Spotify. Thank you so much to everybody who listens to this on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and our biggest audience that's growing very fast right now. Everybody listening on Pandora. Thank you so much. And of course, thank you so much to everybody who has been subscribing on YouTube and is watching this video. So today, guys, like I said, it's October 6th, 2024. Let me read to you guys these articles, and then I'm going to give you an experience that happened to me while attending church. Church ministry allows families with children or special needs to worship and cultivate faith together, okay? For years, attending church as a family wasn't possible for the Alstons, whose 6-year-old son has autism. We all know, I guess the majority of people know what autism is. That is until a chance conversation led to the family to a Virginia church dedicated to creating a space for individuals with special needs and grow in faith, okay? David Platt, the lead pastor of McLean Bible Church, told the news that caring for the families like the Alstons is a priority for the church because they believe it's also a priority for God, okay? He said, quote unquote, David Platt, the pastor, he said, God loves God loves, pursues, and is committed to providing for each of these individuals and their families, and we want to be a reflection of who He is for them every Sunday and throughout the week. It says here, Sad and Crystal Aston, the parents of 3 children, and their youngest, Christian, struggle with keeping still and remaining seated during church services. We see that happen so often, right? The family tried to work around their son's disability by taking turns attending services with their older children at their previous church, okay? They attended that church for 15 years, alternating. Look how crazy that is. Like, that is so crazy that you have to be so concerned. If you have a family who is probably, a person dealing with a sickness, a child who is special needs, you have to alternate yourself because you're so afraid to be called out by church members, by ushers or whatever, right? Because you don't want they don't want your family member to disturb the service. That is so crazy because Jesus will be like, bring them to me, bring them to me. Not only like to be with them, but like to heal them and be close to them. This is what the problem is in the churches right now, guys. As much as the church might have wanted to help, it did not have the resources to address the family's needs, okay? One day, Crystal confided in another mother about the family situation during Kristen's adaptive gymnastics class, an activity that helps children work with motor skills. And this is what the mom said to the other churchgoer. She said, I was telling her that we were having trouble attending church as a family with Kristen, and they were great, but they just didn't have any resources. The church has served individuals and families since 1996 through a access ministry, which includes Sunday school classes for individuals with special needs, monthly respite activities, siblings events, and summer camp. And while started as a way to accommodate 4 families with special needs children, has gone to a ministry that serves more than 1,000 children and their family. That is amazing, and let me tell you, I'm so happy to hear this. I know there's another very big famous ministry connected to, I believe it's that guy. Now I lost his name. I see him in my mind. I forgot his name. He's very well known. and he does kind of like this prom event um, every year for special needs kids, and it's so you see it in a lot of different churches. Um, so there's a lot of opportunities, and that is just amazing, right? For uh, children with special needs coming to church and having places for them. That is amazing because so many families struggle with that. Okay, but let us not forget there's also the elderly, caretakers, who people who take care of their parents, who want to bring their parents also to service, but they can, because their parents might be, they don't have a space for them. Maybe perhaps the music could be too loud, but they still want to be in church. They still want to be around believers, and they still want to be present. And I'm gonna tell you something that happened to me regarding my mom, who was diagnosed with dementia many years ago, and something that happened with me. I mean, something that happened to me with her while she was attending a church service. But let me finish reading this article to you guys. It says here, as of June, Crystal and her family have attended this new church for 1 year, and Christian, their son with autism, is part of the Access Ministry Beautiful Blessings class for children ages 2 to 15. And they assign one-on-one body to help the children participate in the children's or student ministry. That is amazing. I used to go to a church, a very kind of like small church, and there was like a a child who had autism there. I was actually a teacher for the children's ministry, and I remember the man being so concerned. I said, he can stay here with me in the classroom. Like, I don't want him to be like separated. Like, I knew the things that, he will. I remember actually buying things for him so he can like participate in the class, like puzzles and coloring things for him. And he always behaved with me, even though like I was teaching the class. Like, if he needed something, he would come to the front, and I would be like teaching to the other children. He would come and kind of like told me, and he would tell me like in a very like low voice, what, like, if he needed to go to the bathroom or he wanted a snack or anything like that. But I remember the man being so concerned, and like this is the fear like I feel, um because everybody, like, sometimes, you guys, let me tell you, I think we miss out on the grace. Within church walls, there's a lack of empathy and grace for people who have special needs kids, and who people who, who have an elderly parent that they cannot leave at home by themselves, but they can still walk and like be part of the community of the church. But perhaps they might have dementia, so they might, call out things or say things, and there's not that grace. Sometimes it's hard to find in church walls. And there's a reason that I'm telling you this. But you know I am so happy that this family was able to find a place where they can attend, and be able to, um, a church that has resources, so that their child with autism is able to, also be in church and learn about Jesus, and be with other children too. And also, will give the family, especially caretakers, give them like that break that they also need, and to know that their child is going to be okay. They don't have to alternate and leave, make sure they have somebody taking care of their child. They can, it's the house of God. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, why that should be a question, right? Why should that even be a concern? Okay, why should I even be like a thing like, man, I don't want to bring my child that has special needs, because they're all going to be talking about him. They're going to make fun of him. The usher is going to come and tell me, you have to step out because you're disturbing the service. Like, I remember in that church, speaking about that, And that one day, though, the child that had autism, it was during service. We were all in the main auditorium. Um, the child started getting like a behavior thing, and he got a little aggressive with the father. And you think the pastor was gonna be like, "Can somebody take them outside?" No, the pastor said, "Wow, nobody from here is gonna, have the decency to go and help the mom." Like, the child obviously she's having struggle, and the dad is also there, but they're struggling with the child because the kids started hitting the parents, right? And the pastor said, he actually kind of like called out to the church and said, you know nobody's gonna help the sister in Christ. Nobody's gonna do anything about it. And then, of course, everybody, like 5 people, got up and like help out right away. It's just like there's such a lack of empathy and grace. So what happened to me? My mom had dementia, has dementia, and she's been struggling with that for a while. But when it began, like, there was behavioral things, but I was still able to go to places with her. And the only thing, I always needed to have her with me, because if she goes on her own, she will get lost. She doesn't know where she will get confused. But she was still taking medication. Things were manageable. So I remember one day, as usual, we will go to church. I will leave her at the Spanish service and go on to the English service myself. And I will always say to her, you wait for me, right? Don't go anywhere. I'll come and get you. Or that was always like, sometimes I would leave early the English service just because I knew it was time and I didn't want her to go out with the crowd and like, get lost or something. But I knew that her symptoms were so manageable that I knew she was just going to go and sit and listen in service and be, among the brothers and sisters. This is a place where she used to go for a long time. So she wasn't no strangers there. No, she was not a stranger there. It's not like it was her first time and, I just left her there, nothing like that. It was like our usual routine. And one day, it was during worship. I'm just in worship in service, and I get somebody calling me out of my seat and saying, "Can you come to the lobby?" I was like, "Oh, what happened? Like, what's going on?" And when I come out, I see the Spanish pastor is waiting for me there, holding his phone. And I was like, "Okay, what's going on?" And he said, "I don't even know how to tell you this, but I want you to look at the live feed of what's happening right now in our Spanish service." I got terrified. I was like, this is, even telling you this is the most shocking story ever that happened to me during a church service. And it wasn't because my mom, you know, like like she embarrassed herself or like was making a fool of herself, nothing like that. Or people noticed that she had a disease that was, basically happening to her. It was more the pain that I felt was the response from a church ministry that, like I said, she was no stranger to. She's been going there for a long time. I thought it was a long time, like 7 years or something. But anyways, so here comes the pastor, and he said, "I want you to look at this live feed from the church and to tell what's happening in the Spanish ministry right now." I'm just standing there. I'm like, okay. And so I'm looking at his phone with him. And he said, "You see that? That's your mom. She's on the stage holding the guitar worship person, or the worship player." I was like, "Oh my goodness." He's like, "I cannot allow that to happen." This is this guy talking to me, like this pastor. I was so shocked, you guys. The biggest shocker ever. It was like everything flipped. Like I couldn't see them again the same. I was like, wow. And he said, "I cannot let that happen. There's a lot of new people." So I was like, okay, all right. And I said, "Okay, so I'm gonna go get her." And he said, "You want me you want me to wait to the start the main service because he was still doing worship. And I said, no, 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 I'm gonna go get her now. Maybe you can tell her to come. He's like, I don't know what to say to her to come off the stage. And I just looked at him. I said, just tell her that I'm looking for her. And he said, okay, I'll do that. Like, it was so strange and bizarre, guys. There was like, I don't know how many people attend that service, but no usher, right? No pastor's wife, no women's ministry person had the compassion and empathy. It almost looked like none of them had an elderly parent that had a disease. It looked to me like none of them had dealt with anybody. None of them had empathy or compassion for my mom to be like, come on, sister, get off the stage, um, come back to your seat, you can't be doing that. Like, it was so weird because I was like, wow. So as I got my stuff back from the English service, I'm walking to the Spanish, like very fast. I get there and there's so many people in the service. I'm standing outside and one of the ushers says to me, oh, you're here, right? Your mom, right? He's like, yeah, the church is packed today and it's full of new people. I couldn't believe it. Like, even saying it now, I'm laughing because I just couldn't believe it. In that moment, there was no whatsoever, no grace, no empathy, no compassion for somebody who obviously, because she got out of her seat and was doing things that are not, that normal people wouldn't do. Somebody who had a mental illness, right? And I was like, if I see that, it's so crazy because I'm like, I would have been like, I'm not going to get the leader to come and bring me the phone. Like, it was so weird to see the leader. They have so many ushers. His wife is there, right? They have a women's ministry that my mom will go to events with them, like about 100 ladies, right? That my mom will go to events with them. My mom will have them drop her off at our house, pick her up too, and if we see them like at the mall or something, they'll be so welcoming to my mom. None of them were able to get up and be like, I'll get her out of the stage and I'll find her daughter and, we'll talk. I had to have the whole pastor come and get me out of service to deal with this situation. And not only that, but to show me a live feed of my mom. Like, during that time, as they went and got me, all of this was happening. Like, I was in the biggest shocker of my life. I was like, it's almost like you see, it's so crazy. It's almost like the mask came off, and you're like, oh my goodness, these people only care about, you know, like, it was like there's no empathy here, there's no grace, there's no compassion, understanding. And I remember getting to that door waiting for my mom outside the service. The ushers are looking at me and saying, we have a lot of new people today. And I'm thinking to myself, I cannot believe I couldn't believe that happened. I couldn't believe that happened. Like, it's almost like sometimes, you think, like, people, do they? Like, I don't understand. Like, it was just so weird. So, we need to, I'm so glad that there's a lot of special services for children in need, children with special needs in churches. I've seen it often. I've seen it often. And even like, you know, we need to have more, like, it needs to be reworked somehow. Make room also for like the elderly. There's a lot of people who have their parents at home who cares for them that they cannot go to church, right? But there's no like, let me see, can we start like a little ministry for like elderly parents, elderly members who can come, and we'll do like they have adult daycare, right? For people who have dementia and who have, any other type of disease. My mom used to go to adult daycare, and just to have that open a church is so scheduled these days, an hour and a half, have that open so that people who are caretakers can bring their parents, bring their loved ones also to church and enjoy that. But, like, it's so it's so much needed, right? And it's just crazy sometimes. We can talk about the love of God. The love of God, we want to share the gospel, we want to talk of this. But when there is an opportunity, we miss it so badly. We miss that opportunity like crazy. When there's an opportunity to show grace, to show compassion, to show like mercy and understanding, we miss it like crazy. So every day we should just pray, God, excuse me, God, if please allow me to see the open doors that you are opening for me, so that I can represent you wherever I go, so I can be the hands and feet of Jesus, just as you expect me to be, Lord. That should be our prayer every day, you guys. People who have a loved one with special needs or elderly parents, caretaking is very difficult, and it's most difficult, um, you know, on the families who do that. So you will always have to think about how our actions are gonna affect other people. So let me know, guys, what you think about this, and if you have any experience that you want to share regarding this topic, please leave a comment. Thanks again for coming back to my channel. Thank you to everybody who's listening in the podcast. Have a good day. God bless.